Woman dies and what Jesus shows her about 2026 will shock you. I wasn't supposed to come back, but what Jesus showed me about 2026. You need to hear this. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and 47 days ago, I died on an operating table for 9 minutes. What I saw on the other side will change everything you think you know about the future. Hey everyone, before we get into Sarah's incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear is unlike anything we've ever shared on this channel. This isn't clickbait. This isn't entertainment. This is one woman's journey beyond death and the urgent message she brought back for all of us. Okay, let me take you back to where this all started. Act 1, the accident. It was a Tuesday morning, nothing special. Sarah Mitchell, a 34-year-old elementary school teacher from Portland, was driving to work like she'd done 1,000 times before. She had her coffee in the cup holder, listening to her favorite podcast, thinking about the spelling test her second graders had that afternoon. Then everything changed in a split second. A truck ran a red light at the intersection of Morrison and 82nd. Sarah didn't even have time to scream. The impact was so violent that her car spun 3 times before slamming into a telephone pole. The first responders said it was a miracle she survived the initial crash at all. But here's where it gets crazy. Sarah was rushed to Providence Portland Medical Center. She had massive internal bleeding, 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung. The trauma team worked on her frantically, but her body was shutting down. Her blood pressure dropped. Her heart rhythm became erratic. At 10:47 a.m., Sarah Mitchell's heart stopped beating. The monitors went flat, that long, continuous beep that you hear in movies. The medical team started CPR immediately, pumping her chest, trying to shock her heart back to life. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 5. But Sarah wasn't in that operating room anymore. Act 2, the crossing over. The first thing I remember, Sarah told me when we sat down for this interview, was silence. Complete, total silence. Not the scary kind of silence, but peaceful, like the whole universe was taking a breath. She described floating above her body. She could see the doctors working on her. She could see the nurses, their faces tense with concentration. She even saw the clock on the wall, 10:49 a.m. She watched them cut open her chest. She watched the blood, but she felt no pain. No fear. Then I heard it, Sarah said, her eyes filling with tears even now, weeks later. A voice, not like a regular voice you hear with your ears. This was different. It was inside me and all around me at the same time. And it said, Sarah, it's not your time yet, but first I need to show you something. And that's when everything went white. Pure, brilliant, beautiful white light. Not harsh like looking at the sun. Warm, welcoming, like coming home after the longest journey of your life. When the light faded, Sarah found herself standing in a place she can barely describe. It wasn't like Earth, she explained. The colors were more vivid, the air felt alive, and standing in front of me was a man in white robes. His face was so full of love and peace that I knew it was Jesus. Now I know some of you watching might be skeptical. That's okay. Sarah was skeptical too, even in that moment. She grew up going to church occasionally but never considered herself super religious. She had questions, she had doubts. But what happened next removed all doubt from her mind. Act 3, the revelation begins. He didn't speak at first, Sarah recalled. He just smiled at me, and in that smile I felt every ounce of love I'd ever wanted to feel in my entire life, like I finally understood what unconditional love actually meant. Then Jesus spoke. His voice was gentle but carried authority. Sarah, I'm going to show you things that are coming, not to frighten you but to prepare you, and when you return you must share what you've seen. Return, Sarah asked. I'm going back. Your work isn't finished, Jesus told her, but first watch. Suddenly they were somewhere else. Sarah describes it like watching a movie, but she was somehow in the movie at the same time. She could see everything with perfect clarity. The first vision showed her the year 2026. Act 4, vision of 2026, the great shake-up. I saw calendars flipping forward, Sarah said, and when they stopped it was 2026. Spring of 2026 specifically, March or April, I think. What she saw next made her gasp. Major cities across the world experiencing earthquakes, not just 1 or 2, dozens. But here's the strange part, Jesus told her these weren't just natural disasters. The earth itself is responding, he said. Everything is connected. When humanity's hearts shake, the ground beneath them shakes too. Sarah saw news broadcasts in her vision, headlines about unexpected earthquakes in places that rarely experience them. She saw scientists confused, unable to explain the sudden spike in seismic activity. She saw people afraid, but she also saw something else. I saw communities coming together, she said, her voice brightening. After the initial fear, I saw neighbors helping neighbors. I saw strangers becoming friends. It was like the shaking was waking people up to what really matters. Jesus turned to her in the vision. Tell them this, 2026 is a year of awakening. The old ways of living, the selfishness, the division, the hatred, they cannot stand anymore. The foundation is cracking, but from the cracks, new light will emerge. Act 5, the economic vision. Then the vision shifted. Sarah found herself watching what looked like a financial district. Stock market screens, trading floors, banks. I saw numbers falling, she described. Red everywhere on the screens, people panicking. But Jesus put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Watch what happens next." In the vision, after the initial panic, Sarah saw something remarkable. She saw people walking away from their jobs in massive corporations, not angry, not defeated, but purposeful. I saw them starting small businesses, Sarah said. I saw them growing gardens. I saw them creating communities that shared resources. It was like people were remembering how to take care of each other instead of just accumulating wealth. Jesus explained to her, the systems built on greed cannot last. In 2026 many will fall, but this is not punishment, this is liberation. I'm showing people there's another way, a better way. Sarah asked him, will people lose everything? Some will lose what they thought mattered, Jesus replied. But they'll find what actually does. Tell them, invest in people, not portfolios. Store treasures in heaven, not in banks that can fail. Act 6, the technology warning. The vision changed again. This time Sarah saw technology, screens everywhere. But something was different. I saw people's faces illuminated by blue light, she said. But their eyes looked empty, hollow, and Jesus said to me, in 2026 humanity will reach a crossroads with technology. They will have to choose connection or simulation. In the vision, Sarah witnessed the rise of artificial intelligence that was so advanced it could mimic human conversation perfectly. She saw people preferring to talk to AI instead of real humans. She saw children growing up in virtual worlds, forgetting what real grass felt like under their feet. But she also saw the alternative path. I saw groups of people putting down their phones, Sarah described. I saw families eating dinner together without devices. I saw young people choosing to meet face-to-face instead of behind screens, and those people, they were glowing, literally glowing with joy and peace. Jesus told her, technology is a tool, not a master. In 2026, those who remember this will thrive. Those who forget will become slaves to their own creations. Tell them, the most advanced technology is the human heart. Don't upgrade your devices and downgrade your souls. Act 7, the health revelation. Then Sarah saw hospitals, lots of them. I saw sickness, she said quietly. New kinds of sickness that doctors didn't understand at first, but it wasn't like a plague or anything apocalyptic. It was like the body's way of saying enough. In her vision, Jesus showed her that in 2026 there would be a spike in what he called stress-related diseases. Heart problems, anxiety disorders, autoimmune conditions, all from people pushing themselves beyond what the human body was designed to handle. But then I saw healing, Sarah said, her face lighting up. I saw people discovering that when they slowed down, when they rested, when they connected with nature and with God, their bodies healed. I saw miracles happening not in hospitals but in gardens, on hiking trails, in quiet prayer rooms. Jesus told her, the body is a temple but my people have turned it into a factory. In 2026 those who return to rest will find restoration. Tell them, Sabbath isn't optional, rest is holy. Healing begins when the striving ends. Sarah witnessed communities forming around wellness, not the trendy kind, but genuine care for whole person health. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Act 8, the family vision. The next vision hit Sarah the hardest. She saw families, but many of them were broken. Parents and children living in the same house but existing in different worlds. Marriages ending not from dramatic fights but from slow, silent drifting apart. I started crying in the vision, Sarah admitted. Because I recognized myself. I recognized how I'd been too busy, too distracted, too focused on everything except the people I love most. Jesus stood beside her as she watched these scenes. The enemy's greatest victory isn't dramatic evil, he said. It's ordinary neglect. He steals families one distracted moment at a time. But then the vision shifted. Sarah saw families making different choices in 2026. She saw parents putting down work laptops during dinner. She saw teenagers actually talking to their parents. She saw grandparents being invited into homes, their wisdom finally valued again. I saw what families could be, Sarah said. And it was beautiful, messy, yes, not perfect, but connected, really connected. Jesus' message was clear. In 2026, those who prioritize family will build fortresses of love that no darkness can penetrate. Tell them, career success means nothing if you succeed alone. The most important meeting is the one around your own table. Act 9, the spiritual awakening. Then the visions began to accelerate. Sarah saw churches. Some were empty, their pews dusty, their doors closing. But other gathering places, homes, coffee shops, parks, were filled with people hungry for truth. I saw a spiritual awakening, Sarah said, but not the way I expected. It wasn't about buildings or denominations. It was about people genuinely encountering God, really meeting Him, not just attending services. In her vision of 2026, Sarah witnessed young people leading prayer movements. She saw business leaders pausing work for worship. She saw scientists discovering God through studying creation. She saw artists creating works that pointed to heaven. Jesus told her, "Religion will shake, but faith will flourish. In 2026, I'm removing the walls people built around me. I'm stepping out of the boxes they tried to keep me in. Those who want formula will be frustrated. Those who want me will find me everywhere." Sarah saw people experiencing miracles, healings, provision, protection. But also the quiet miracles restored relationships, healed hearts, found purpose. He showed me that 2026 is a year when heaven comes closer to earth, Sarah explained. The veil gets thinner, people who are seeking will find, people who are knocking will have doors opened. But it requires one thing, sincerity, no more playing church, no more pretending, just real, raw, honest seeking. Act 10, the warning about division. The tone of the visions shifted. Sarah's face became serious as she described what she saw next. I saw division, terrible division, people choosing sides, left versus right, vaccinated versus unvaccinated, my race versus your race, my country versus your country, and it was getting worse in 2026. She watched propaganda machines on both sides working overtime. She saw families torn apart over politics. She saw churches splitting over issues that Jesus never emphasized. And then I heard Jesus weep, Sarah said quietly. I actually heard him crying. He said, "This is not my way, this is not my plan. I came to unite, not divide. I died for all, not just some." In the vision, Jesus showed her the source of the division. Fear. People were afraid of losing control, losing power, losing their way of life. And that fear was being manipulated. But he also showed her the solution. I saw people choosing love over being right, Sarah said. I saw conservatives and liberals sitting down to actually listen to each other. I saw different races celebrating their differences while acknowledging their common humanity. I saw it happening in small groups first, then spreading. Jesus' message. In 2026, my true followers will be known by their love, not their political party. They will build bridges, not walls. They will be peacemakers, not just peacekeepers. Tell them, the kingdom of heaven has no political affiliation. Choose unity, choose love, choose me over your tribe. Act 11, the environmental sign. Sarah then saw the earth itself. I saw weather patterns changing dramatically, she described. Floods in places that don't usually flood, droughts where there's usually rain. But Jesus showed me this wasn't just random climate change. He said, creation groans, waiting for my children to wake up. In 2026, according to Sarah's vision, there would be environmental events that finally get humanity's attention. Not to destroy, but to warn. I saw people finally connecting the dots, Sarah said. Understanding that we're caretakers, not owners. I saw movements starting to clean oceans, plant forests, restore land, not from fear of apocalypse, but from love of creation. Jesus told her, I gave humanity a garden and called them to tend it. In 2026, some will remember this calling. They will be my hands and feet in healing the earth. Tell them, Caring for creation is worship. Every tree planted, every stream cleaned, every creature protected is an act of love toward the Creator. Act 12, the personal message. Then Jesus turned to Sarah directly. Everything I've shown you, he said, is both warning and invitation. 2026 can be a year of destruction or a year of renewal. The choice belongs to each person. He placed his hand over Sarah's heart. You specifically, Sarah, you've been living halfway committed, halfway present, halfway alive. When you return that ends, you will choose all in or all out. There is no middle ground anymore. Sarah felt every word pierce her soul. I knew he was right, she admitted. I'd been coasting through life, going through motions, comfortable but not alive, not really. Jesus continued, in 2026 comfort will be challenged, everyone will be asked to choose. Lukewarm is no longer an option, hot or cold, committed or casual, my true followers or just fans, the time for deciding is coming. He showed her a final image, herself back in her classroom but different, glowing with purpose, loving her students not as a job but as a calling, living each day intentionally. This is your future if you choose it, Jesus said. Full life, abundant life, the life I always intended for you. Act 13, the return. Then Jesus looked at her with such tenderness. It's time for you to go back now. Wait, Sarah said, I have so many questions. How do I convince people? What if they don't believe me? What if I fail? Jesus smiled. You don't convince anyone, you just tell the truth. Some will hear, some won't. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is obedience. Share what you've seen. Live what you've learned. I'll do the rest. He touched her forehead. Remember everything, forget nothing. And Sarah, don't be afraid. Even in the shaking, I'm holding everything together, especially those who trust me. The white light came again, brighter than before. Sarah felt herself being pulled backward, like being sucked through a tunnel. She could hear voices, medical voices, urgent voices. We've got a pulse. She's coming back. BP is stabilizing. Sarah gasped, her eyes flew open. The harsh fluorescent lights of the operating room flooded her vision. Pain crashed through her body like a wave. She was back. The medical team stood around her in shock. The surgeon later told her they'd performed CPR for 9 minutes. 9 minutes of being clinically dead. In medical terms, she shouldn't have survived. And if she did survive, she should have had severe brain damage. But Sarah was completely intact, sharp, aware, remembering everything. Act 14, the aftermath. The recovery was long. Sarah spent 2 weeks in the hospital. During that time, she kept a journal, writing down every detail of her experience before she could forget anything. The nurses thought she was writing a diary about her accident. She didn't correct them. When she finally went home, Sarah couldn't return to her old life. Not because she was physically unable to, but because she was spiritually unable to. Everything looked different, she explained. My house, my routines, my priorities, it all seemed so small, so temporary. I'd seen eternity. I'd met Jesus. How could I go back to caring about what I cared about before? She started making changes, small ones at first. She began each morning in prayer, really talking to God, not just reciting memorized words. She called her sister, whom she hadn't spoken to in 3 years, over a stupid argument. She apologized. They cried together and reconciled. Sarah started volunteering at a homeless shelter. She reduced her work hours and increased her time with her nephew and nieces. She joined a Bible study group, but not just to attend, to actually seek God. People noticed something different about me, Sarah said. I didn't tell anyone about my experience at first. I was scared they'd think I was crazy. But they kept asking what changed. I finally started sharing. Some believed her immediately. Others were skeptical. A few thought she'd had a dream caused by lack of oxygen to her brain. Sarah didn't argue with anyone. Jesus told me I'm just supposed to share, not convince, she reminded herself. So that's what I do. Act 15, the message for you. Now here's where I need you to really pay attention, because Sarah's message isn't just about 2026. It's about right now, today, this moment. Sarah wanted to make sure I told you these specific things. First, don't wait for a near-death experience to wake up. You don't need to die to start living. The invitation to abundant life is available right now, not next year, not when you get your life together. Now. Second, 2026 isn't about predicting the future. It's about preparing your heart. Whatever challenges come, earthquakes, economic shifts, health crises, family struggles, those who are rooted in God will stand firm. Those who aren't will be shaken. Third, time is shorter than you think, not in a scary the world is ending way, but in a don't waste another day way. Sarah wasted 34 years living halfway. She got a second chance. You have a chance too, right now. Fourth, division is a lie. The enemy wants you fighting with your neighbor over politics while missing Jesus altogether. Don't fall for it. Choose love, choose unity. Choose to see people as God sees them. Fifth, your choices matter. Every single day you're building either a foundation that will last or a house of cards that will collapse. Build on rock, build on truth, build on love. Sixth, God is not distant. He's not waiting for you to be perfect before he'll talk to you. He's close, so close. Waiting for you to turn toward him, just one step, that's all it takes. Seventh, whatever you're going through right now, pain, loss, confusion, fear, it's not the end of your story. Sarah flatlined on an operating table and came back with purpose. Your comeback is possible too. So here's what Sarah wants you to do. Stop right now, I mean it. Pause this video if you need to, take a breath. Put your hand over your heart and feel it beating. That's life, that's opportunity, that's grace. Ask yourself, am I really living or just existing? Am I building something that matters or just passing time? Am I connected to God or just connected to religion? Am I loving people or just tolerating them? Be honest. Jesus already knows the answers. This is for you. Then make one choice. Just one, not 10. Not a complete life overhaul that you'll abandon in a week. One choice that moves you closer to God. Maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's asking for forgiveness. Maybe it's turning off your phone for an hour and praying. Maybe it's calling that family member you've been avoiding. Maybe it's serving somewhere. Maybe it's starting to read the Bible like you've been meaning to. Maybe it's just saying, God, I don't even know if I believe in you, but if you're real, show me. One choice, make it today. Because if Sarah's vision is true, and she believes it is with every fiber of her being, 2026 is coming whether we're ready or not. And the time to prepare isn't next month or next week. It's now. Sarah is back teaching now. She walks into her classroom every morning with a limp from the accident, but also with a light that wasn't there before. Her students notice. Her colleagues notice. Parents notice. She doesn't preach at people, she just lives differently, loves differently, sees people differently. And when someone asks her why she changed, she tells them the truth. I died, I met Jesus, he showed me what matters, and he sent me back to share it with you. Some people laugh, some people walk away, but some people listen. And some of those people make changes, and some of those changes ripple outward, touching more lives. That's how awakening works, not through force, through truth lived out loud. So I'll leave you with the last thing Jesus told Sarah before she came back. Tell them I love them, tell them I'm coming soon, tell them to be ready, tell them there's still time, tell them I'm waiting with open arms, tell them to come home. That's the message. That's what Jesus showed Sarah about 2026. And now you've heard it. What you do with it, that's up to you. If this story impacted you, hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And leave a comment below telling me, what's the one choice you're making today? Thanks for watching, and remember, your story isn't over. In fact, it might just be beginning. God bless you all.